Okay, we're on to step 3. So in the last step we added all these construction lines and the construction lines for the features, circular features and the linear features. This is what your front view might look like to add the construction lines for the features that show up in the front view. So in the front view we have a circle here. I'm actually going to show you how to draw without a circle template. The same thing with this one. I'll show you how to draw without a circle template. But up here we're going to use circle templates so I can show you how to use a circle template properly. When you're doing drawings like this that have circular features, you always want to draw in the arcs for all of the circular features first, because it's a lot easier to get your straight edges to line up with the ends of your arcs rather than trying to get your arcs to land on the ends of your straight lines. So here's a circle template, and the size of this circle is a radius of 0.625. This circle template happens to be showing the diameters of the circle, so that would mean I need a diameter of 1 1/4 to have it match the construction lines that I started. You can see that that matches the construction lines. So we're going to use that same circle here on the top, so you can see how I did that. And what I'm doing is lining it up first with the marks that I made, that I measured in the last step. So if you haven't watched that first video yet, make sure you shut this off and go to the first video and watch that first. So we get those arcs in there first. So I'm going to put in all the circular features, and then we will move on to adding the linear features. Now this part does have what are called fillets. So you have these little fillets here. Every place that has these little lines along the edge of it means that it's a filleted edge. And we can see from here that note is telling us that that fillet is a radius of 0.1, which is just a little bit less than an 1/8 of an inch. So if I were to use the circle template and I were to use the diameter of 1/4 right here, then that means the radius would be 1/8 of an inch. And you can check that too by looking at your scale. You can measure it. So if that's a diameter of 1/4, then half of that would be the radius of 0.125 really, but 0.125 is 1/8 of an inch exactly. We're going to be using that as an approximate. If you wanted to make an adjustment, we could go down to the 7/32 and be a little bit closer. So I'm going to use the 7/32 just because I want these to be a little bit smaller. And what I'm doing is just moving the arc so that it's as close to, so I can see this line and this line inside of the circle template, just inside of it. And then I'm just going to draw that little arc from tick mark to tick mark. Don't go any further. Go on this line and do the same thing. And then go to all the edges and do the same thing. So this is adding all the radiuses for all the filleted edges. And if you want to kind of do this a little bit more systematically, starting from one end of the object to the other, you could do that, making sure you don't miss where those fillets are supposed to go. So keep adding the fillets until they're filled. And I think we've got them on this edge too. And I think that's all of them. So there's all your fillets that you would have. Whoop, this fillet's going in the wrong direction. I just realized I want that fillet to go this way. There. Okay. So then I'm going to look for a diameter of 1 1/2, because that's no, I'm sorry, I want a diameter of 3/4 of an inch, because now we are working with diameters. And if we line that up right at the tick marks again, so we're lining this construction lines that we had up at the tick marks, starting at one tick mark and going to the other. So we make that perfect half circle. And make sure you line up the same circle with the same 2 tick marks on the other side. And then we're going to do it one more time for the notch here. So now we've got all of the circular features in there, and I don't think, we have some center lines, but we'll put those in. We'll put those in last. Oh no, actually, it's not a bad idea to put them in now that I think of it, if you're using the erase technique to create your center marks. So to put the center marks in so that they line up along the center features of the two, both the slot and the slot and the notch, you're going to create a thin line that passes through all of them. So you're going to twist your pencil as you're drawing that thin line, and then you're going to want to draw the line that goes through in this direction too, just a little bit past the feature for all of these. And then you can go back and erase your center marks from those lines. I've got kind of a dirty eraser here. I'm going to clean it. And so now you've got center marks for those features. It looks like I got a little bit of smudging. That'll all go away when we do some inking. Now the other circle that we have here has got a diameter of, it's a radius of 0.625. So that means that it has a diameter of 1 1/4. And you can check your math on that and check to see that it matches your construction lines. And we'll put those circular features in too. And then we're going to be pretty much done with this top view. All we're going to have to do is add the lines, the straight lines. So we're going to add the straight lines to this edge here. Now I'm going to be careful to line this up. I want to make sure you can see both of the lines that I'm actually lining this up with. I want to be careful to line this up with the ends of both of these arcs here. And then I want to be careful to line this up with the end of the line that I just drew and this arc over here. We could put this line in too. And I'm lining up with the ends of the arcs. So I gotta maybe go back and clean up that one. And if I was a lot more careful about getting those fillets in there, then this would line up a lot better. I think when you guys are doing this at home, you can be right on top of the drawing. I have the camera in my way right on top of me, of the drawing rather, so I can't, see quite as well, but you'd want to make sure that all of those points connect. And it looks like this one's going to come out great, this end, because I can see that it's lining up all the way across. And then we have little line segments over here that are going to connect with my construction lines, so I know where to stop that line even though I haven't got it drawn yet. And then I can put the ends of the lines in here, lining it up with the arc, and I'll correct the location of the end point of that line here that I've run. If I have a little gap, I'll just kind of add that back in. And then we're going to connect these. And we've got the top view drawn, because I don't think there are any hidden lines in the top view. So there's what our top view should look like when it's done. Then you're going to go through and do the same steps with the bottom view doing the circular features first. So let's pretend you don't have a circular center mark. What you can do with a very light line is sketch in at then this is why I have this drawn out, so that I have a square here that matches the diameter of the circle. And if I'm very careful to draw in each quadrant of the arc like that, when I'm done, and keep correcting this, you're doing this as a light construction line at first, keep correcting until the circle looks as circular as possible, and then you can go in and try to trace over that line and try to make it follow that line and not be as wobbly. Not be wobbly if you draw it by freehand. It's kind of hard to do, I know, but it's going to come out a lot better than if you try to draw that circle freehand just without those guides. So same thing with this, we want to kind of sketch in first where that arc should go. And then you know that the tangent point is here. You're going to follow that to the other tangent point at the top and do the same thing here. Now you can use your straight edge. If you have one of these kinds of straight edges, you can, if you get a second pencil, you can, position one pencil in the center. And if you've got the holes in the right place, you can position the hole in the right place to sketch that out. Or you can use string. There's a lot of different little tricks. But that's how you're going to be able to freehand something, is you've got to lay out the square or the grid for it first, and then you're just going to have to sketch it in as best you can, which I do accept, as long as you're really careful with it and you try to make that look as good as possible. And then we would turn the rest of the line work here into our object lines connecting to the end of the arc. I won't draw this whole view, but I will put in a hidden line. This line goes from here to our construction line there. Oops. And if we want to draw a hidden line, again, you're going to draw this as a thin line, starting from the top, twisting the pencil and applying pressure. And if you break your lead, that's fine, just start again. And then you would go back through and turn that hidden line into, that continuous line into a hidden line by erasing a hidden line pattern out of it. So that's how you're going to add your hidden lines. And you saw how to add the center lines. I think it's not a bad idea to add the center lines before you add the object lines, because then you have enough room to erase without erasing your object lines. And maybe you're going to smudge your object lines a little bit less. Once you've got this hole in place in the front view, you can use projection to project that up to the top view and add the hidden lines up there. And then do the same thing, project your lines down. Let me zoom back out again here. Project your lines down from the top view to the front view to create this feature. Now this feature, when it's done, should look something like this. Where you have these filleted arcs here. So you can grab your little fillet tool again if you have a circle template, or you can sketch it in. And then there should be center lines here. I just did the pattern this time because I'm being lazy, but so there's your center line patterns, and then don't forget to put your hidden lines in. And there are your hidden lines. Okay, so you have hidden line also from this feature that you project down, and you'd obviously fill in the rest of your object lines and center lines. So once that's done, that's step 3. And then the last step, the fourth step, would be adding dimensions. And I will save that for probably in a couple of days from now, because I want to give you guys the chance to create this drawing with all the object lines, hidden lines, and center lines first. and then I'll give you some feedback on it, and then you'll add dimensions, so that way you're not adding dimensions to something that has to be erased and corrected. So I think that should give you enough to go on to go through the whole process and start to lay out this drawing. Again, I'll remind you, if you don't want to do this particular object, you'd like to do something else, you just have to make sure you show it to me and it meets with my approval.